We're all good.
We're
We're
all
all good.
good.
We're
Yeah,
back
we're
on it.
back.
We're
We're
back
back.
on it.
That
Okay.
security man's trying to mash up the stream, bruv. He's in the
Sending-
office right now, throwing off the signals and that.
Sending
You
the
get me?
airwaves.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so let's go back to yesterday very briefly before we talk about our 10 talking points of the week. Very interesting time of things. It was a very tense 2 days or so, particularly yesterday. Thanks to everybody
Just about to say that.
who stopped by and watched the live stream.
10,000 strong, bruv. Better than all them other boxing channels, bruv. You get me? Better than all the ops. You get me? You got the information live while it was happening. You get me? And you got to see the people at the event. You saw Conor Benn leave. Remember, he was first at it.
We certainly were on the spot, and it was a very a very exciting day for we don't mean to kind of put a positive spin on things. Of course, it was a very serious situation that we were in, but breaking news as it happened. Sorry, I'm just having to turn off a few things here on my phone. Was very exciting. So it was a good. I know you've done Fury White with Link Up TV. Shout out Link Up TV.
Link Up TV.
But it was your first time really in the mix, and what a fight week to bust your cherry.
100%. Like obviously Monday had the red carpet. Shout out to everybody that I spoke to on the red carpet. Thank you for taking the time to chat to me. You get me? I love that. You get me? Spoke to Calla, Eddie Hearn, Conor Benn. You get me? Like spoke to so many people. It was amazing, man. I had a great. Do you get me? The Monday was amazing, and then the Wednesday I was really looking forward to. But obviously, on the Wednesday, that's when the news broke through. I was in a barber shop. You get me? I went on the Twitter, and the news was announced, and I was like, "Yo."
It was very strange. But anyway, let's go through the 10 talking points of the week. Just you've touched upon there. The Castillo and ID boxing link up. We've had a lot of people say that they never really saw the union between, I guess, yourself and myself happening. We've obviously spoken for probably, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years or so.
We were chatting for a bit, man. Like literally, I'm not gonna lie, bruv. I was thinking to myself, Rob, obviously, is a white dude, bruv. I thought he was trying to get something off me, bruv. You get me? Like you can't trust the ops and that sometimes. You gotta be careful, bruv. You get me? Thought man was trying to Don King me on a mad thing, trying to give me the fast talk, bruv. But I was like, yo, you're moving mad, bruv. But then Rob's a man of his word, took me to the Pulev and Chisora fight, which was amazing. You get me? Like that was like my first ever live boxing match. It was dope. Like basically front row with a thing. You get me? I had some mad EDO man in front of me, doing a madness. You get me? But I had my Bulgarian brother behind me, bruv. He was about to lock off the whole thing, bruv. But there was a mad EDO man, bruv. I don't know what he was on, but I swear down, bruv. It was moving mad.
I forgot about that. That was interesting. You do get some quite interesting characters on some boxing shows, but we'd spoken for a while, and obviously the previous company that I was at, which will remain nameless.
I mean, no promotion for them.
No promotion, bro. You got to pay, bro. But
big man team.
But yeah, and then obviously kind of had my time away from the sport, and I think like you were one of the only people who kind of knew exactly what was going on as it was happening. Really, of course, my other guys here and my family and stuff, but I think that kind of brought us closer.
Facts.
And then here we are now. So the Castillo ID boxing link up is very much underway. We did the main event with Eddie Hearn, which was kind of thrown together.
Dope. Shout out to Eddie Hearn for that, bruv. Big man thing. Really appreciate that, Eddie. Like real talk. I was looking forward to doing that. If there was anybody I wanted to speak to boxing about, it was him. So like shout out to him for sitting down with me, bruv, for the main event show. Did bare views across all platforms. You get me? It was dope.
All digital platforms. I think that we stopped counting at around 10 million across Instagram, TikTok. It was being sampled by some other big TikTokers. So that was good. Stay tuned for news of episode 2 of the main event. We've just been trying to work out a few things, but that is very much going to be back on your screens on ID Boxing shortly.
Get me? You're trying to lock down a sponsor, bruv. You get me? But you got to come with a good piece, bruv. Don't be trying to come here and pay us an ackee and saltfish, bruv. Allow it. You get me? Respect yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We got the product. If you got the money, we got the time. But anyway, let us know in the comments below who you want to see on the main event episode 2. Of course, we had Eddie Hearn on the pilot episode. If you haven't seen that, salute to Susan, bruv, every time. Let's move on. That was point 1, of course, the Castillo and ID boxing link up. Number 2, we touched upon it slightly earlier, Castillo, about reporting on the red carpet, what it was like, who you met, and how it was. You mentioned earlier speaking to Calla Sowland.
Yeah,
I think obviously one of the kind of the elephant in the room now in hindsight is that all of this stuff was, with Conor Benn's failed VADA test was already kind of known by them. Of course, wasn't known by us, wasn't known by yourself. Did you have any inclination while you were there that something may be afoot?
No, 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 man. Everything felt dope. Like, to be fair, like it felt like it was just gearing up for something really, really nice and really good. Like the whole moment was amazing. Like honestly speaking, like seeing firsthand how much goes into this. Like obviously, when you're watching it in your house and you're just seeing things on socials and all that stuff, you don't realize how much work actually goes into this event. Like when I was on the red carpet, like in Central. Like this, the whole promotion for it, all the like the animations, like there was like changing animations, and you'd see Conor like stuff of him, Nigel Benn, like pictures of him when he was younger, Eubank and all that stuff. It was like it was such an amazing moment. So like now that I've seen that side to it, it's like a shame that this event doesn't go through because a lot of people just think to themselves, it's just the fighters, it's just solely on them. But obviously the promoters put in a lot of good work, and obviously we're on Twitter chatting shit, but at the same time, like you gotta give it off to them for putting in the good work, bruv. You get me?
Yeah, of course. We're going to come on to the promoters and kind of everything that went on yesterday with regards to the fight being on again, off again, on again, off again. But let's stick in with the red carpet. Who was your favourite person to speak to on the red carpet?
Favorite person to speak to on the carpet, obviously, is Eddie Hearn, bruv. Eddie Hearn, it was great, but it was also great speaking to Calla as well.
He
like,
was slightly different with you than the first time he saw you on the main event, wasn't he?
yeah, for sure, for sure. But obviously, I kind of understand that because he's probably thinking, this brother, he could have a ting on him, bruv, and he could just be. Do you get me? Like you never know, man. You get me? At any moment, it could be over right now. So he was. I'd be weirded out too, bruv. I'd be shook as well. You get me? But like, it's dope meeting people like that, especially for me, because that's a whole different life to me. Like literally, the last time I was really in Tottenham Court Road and then Central London, I had a job interview with a security firm, like bruv, trying to do my little security man thing. And like they wouldn't let me in, bruv. Probably because they wouldn't let me. They didn't give me the job, bruv. I assume it's because I was black, bruv. Because that's my go-to, bruv. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, but now hopefully they're watching now. See me with big boy Eddie Hearn, bruv. See I'm making moves in that, bruv. So shout out to that security firm, bruv. Sack your mums. Yeah, respectfully, but yeah, bruv. Come on, doing big things.
You don't need the security guards now. You're here on ID Boxing.
Come on, bruv.
You're doing your thing. The main event, very much a part of the ID family. So stay tuned.
But also, I got a cut. Like, it was great speaking to Eddie. Also, great meeting Calla because obviously, like, I've seen him.
You and him got on really well.
Yeah, like I've seen him throughout the years. Always watching boxing. Like I used to be a big fan of like Mikhail Kessler, and like seeing that he was associated with him, so that was dope to actually meet him in the flesh. And he's like a character, man. This is why I love the boxing world. Although it's like very like suit and tie, like some of these men like they're very like different and off the wall. But I guess you have to be when you're promoting boxing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, there's kind of somebody for everybody in boxing. You have some really interesting characters, some characters that you don't necessarily see, certainly front and center in some of the other sports. I always get very nervous when Ben Faruqi, our very, very handsome, devilishly handsome tech man, stares at me. I always think that something's going wrong with the microphone, but apparently we're all good. Yeah, if anybody wants to kind of go back and have a look at, we had a plan this week with content and how we were going to approach things from a daily vlog perspective, and obviously all of the shit hit the fan. Shout out Nadeem. Nadeem just donated $18. Nadeem from Twitter. Somebody's just messaged me and said, "Oh, I don't have the things because I've got like the list of stuff." Nadeem, everybody, shout out Nadeem.
Shout out to you, brother, man.
$80.
$80. Yo, you got money, my guy. Shout out to you, Bev.
I got Australian dollars because that's
What's the conversion rate, man?
At the minute, man, that's probably about $3,500 over here because the pound is plummeting.
The pound is moving mad, bro. It's moving like a peso out here, bro. It's moving mad. Moving mad.
Thanks very much to Nadeem. Yeah, I'm going to try and hold it together as much as I can. I was slightly sleep deprived, and Castillo does tickle me at the best of times. It sounds a bit zesty still, but still. Yeah, so let's move on. Number 3 on our 10 talking points of the week was the moment we found out about Ben, where we were, what we thought, and the reaction at the press event. So Castillo, I'm going to throw it over to you first. When did you first hear about Conor Benn's adverse analytical finding?
Literally, I was at the barbers with my guy Ben, bruv. Like literally, he was getting a shape up and that. Shout out to the barbers, Johnny's, Finsbury Park. You get me? Shout out to the barber, to Junior Barber, man. He niced us up still. But I just gotten my shape up, and then Ben was getting his, and then I just went on Twitter and I saw the news. Now I'm not gonna lie to you. Like usually when I see stuff like that in boxing, I just think it's like hype for a fight. To be honest with you, I don't actually believe any of them things. So I was thinking, all right then. Do you get what I mean? I just thought like I always think to myself, promoters like it's like a movie, innit? Promoters leak things about people, and then it's probably bullshit. But later on that day, did not know what's to come, but it was a big surprise. It almost felt like a movie, but I just thought it was going to add to the drama of the fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think with stuff like this, it's sometimes you have to look at the source, who's putting it out. Riaf is from the Daily Mail, is a very well respected journalist. Once I saw it come from him, from Mail Sport.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time you say Riaf, I thought it was some Al Jazeera thing. I was like, "Who's Riaf?" Bro?
Yeah, I can't remember what's his last name. Riaf Al Sameh. Yeah,
Big man thing. Shout out to him, bro.
Very good journalist, and that's a hell of a scoop. I mean,
it sounded like a federation every time you say Riaf. I was like, who are they, bro? I mean, I used to think it was like, what's them people back in the day in like the politics, bro? The shadow men. Remember that? What are they called? The shadow. What are they called? You know what I'm talking about?
Ben,
in politics, the shadow
cabinet.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I thought that was like some ninjas, bruv.
I don't think that's what the shadow cabinet
I thought when they were
talking
about, like, when they talking about Tony Blair and the shadow, I was like, yo, we're about to move in on Bin Laden, bro. To get them WMDs, bro.
Yeah, I've got the YouTube live screen up now. I'm going to keep
Tony Blair, bro.
Going to keep going to shout. Yeah,
maybe still going strong, man. That guy's like 108, bro.
Yeah. Tony Blair, he's an interesting man. He'd be a good one for the main event. But anyway, let's try and move on here. I do have the YouTube live up now. So thank you very much, Nadeem. Downplaying kangaroo dollars like that, Rob. I would never downplay it. I think we'll probably be making some moves in Australia soon.
Big up Australia. I got a big base over there. You get me? Like, I want to go there. Shout out to New Zealand, Australia, all of them places there, bruv. You get me?
I think we're probably going to be going down there soon at some point. So we'll bring you. Castillo goes down. Castillo down under has a lot of connotations around
Australian things, bruv. Jeez. Proper.
Okay.
Beautiful white babes, bruv. You get me?
Let's try and get on with things. Big up Australia every time. We're going to take some questions from the chat as we get through it. So we're going to try and get these things on here. Situation ain't looking good, bruv. It's not looking good, bruv, at all. So where we were, what we thought, what was your initial kind of? So you thought it was potentially something to do with hype, and I know that you spoke on the live stream yesterday that you felt like it was going to go ahead anyway, and it was going to be just something that kind of raised interest in the spot in the event in general, really. But once we got to the press event and we found out from the British Boxing Board of Control that they refused to sanction it, then what went through your mind?
Like when we went there, and the first thing, it was like the fight was off, and I was like, what? I was like, I still thought that was nonsense, to be fair, because I thought to myself, you can't cancel a big boxing match like that, like two days or 3 days before. That doesn't happen in, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've never heard of that happening ever. Do you get what I mean? I think like it's not like it's some random thing happening like in Nicaragua, bruv. Like, you get me, between two men that's fighting for £50 and that. Like, do you know what I mean? I think it's like a big boy thing, innit? So I was thinking there's no way it's gonna get cancelled. But then the closer it started getting to it, I started thinking, okay, like, this is serious. And then the whole atmosphere of everybody in the open workout was very, very like somber. Like, everybody was very, very quiet. And then at some point during it, it felt like nothing was going to happen. And it kind of felt like everybody was just there for no reason. It just felt like people was going to have to pack up and go home.
Yeah, it was a very, very strange vibe there for sure. I've been saying for a long time that I feel like people need to spice up the workouts, but I think they went a little bit too spicy there on that one.
Like it was serious, and I started feeling it for like the undercard fighters, to be fair, because then you could kind of see their faces and like how they would. It looked like they were kind of, a lot of them were kind of confused as to like, well, what's going to happen? It was very uncertain.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to come on to some of this stuff. We're getting some questions in here that we will be addressing as and when the stream goes on. Obviously, there's a lot of questions and a lot of ins and outs and a lot of, uncomfortable discussions to be had around the fight, let's be honest. And we will, as always at ID Boxing, answer your questions in the most impartial and balanced way that we can. Please pop down a little comment, a like, and throw us a
donate
subscribe.
Some peas as well, bro.
Donate some peas. I'll leave that to
Castillo. No matter where you're from, bro. You get me? Wherever you're from, even if you're from a war-torn place, bro, just drop some peas, bro. You get me? You get me? It's like, you got to keep some for the grenades and that, bro. Donate some for us, bro. You get me? Come on.
Right, okay. I'm going to try my best to try and hold things together. The following of social media, that was crazy. Obviously, when we were at the press conference yesterday, shout out to everybody who joined us. I mean, it was I think that's probably the piece of content I'm probably most proud of making.
Yeah, that you mean at the
press conference
yesterday? Yeah. That was dope. 10,000 strong. Like, that's That's dope. I haven't seen that much live viewers unless it's like Fresh and Fit, bruv. Shout out to them. But like that was a lot of live viewers. I didn't even know that was possible.
I mean, like, to put it into some sort of context, Sidemen charity football match, which we're going to get Castillo on the Sidemen
Big
podcast.
man. Shout out
Jasmar,
to
if
them.
you're watching, shout out Jasmar every
Don't know.
time.
Don't know.
She came out for dinner with us the other night. I think we're going to make a little Castillo Sidemen thing. But they had 2.6 million live viewers for their charity football match.
Shout out to them, bruv. That's success right there, bruv. You get me? That's something you got to aim for. That's dope. I rate that. Shout out to them.
Maybe we'll get to 2.6 million for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn when it's rescheduled. What do you think?
Do you know what? I think that's very possible, bruv. Hopefully that happens. You get me?
I think we'll wait and see what happens with that. But moving on, point number 5 for the major talking points of this week, we have referenced it already, is the undercard fighters. You know, like I wasn't surprised, but one of the main things that was spoken about by everybody kind of before the official announcement that the fight was off was, you know, the undercard fighters, they don't know what they're doing. And then after it was officially announced, it was kind of a very common theme from people that we spoke to, that they felt sorry for the undercard fighters. Now I know you've got some questions.
Yeah, 100%. Like, to be fair, like I'll be honest, I'm just coming from like a casual perspective. I thought like if you was an undercard for one of these big fights, yeah, you're just making mad money. Like as soon as you finish your fight, you can just head to Central, bruv, buy Aston Martin type thing. But I'm hearing that it's not really like that. Like they don't make as much as you would think.
No, yeah, I mean, people will always kind of automatically assume that somebody who boxes on TV or DAZN, in this instance, a streaming platform, ultimately, immediately are making fortunes. That's not the case. Camps are very. Sorry, I'm just getting a message through from Chris Lloyd. Shout out Chris Lloyd every time he's watching us.
Come on.
Live and in the cut. Chris Lloyd from Matchroom
Shout out to
Boxing.
Chris Lloyd.
We spoke about him and the really, you know, difficult position that him and Darren Barker were put into. I know Chris very, very well. I know that he's a consummate professional and would have been preparing for Eubank Jr. versus Ben for a long, long time. This was a flagship moment for Matchroom Boxing and DAZN. Chris, who would have done weeks and weeks of preparation ahead of this fight, on Wednesday morning is greeted with the news that you've got to get rid of all of that, and now there's this legal this and this legal that. So shout out to Chris Lloyd, did a fantastic job under really, really shit circumstances for a broadcaster to be thrown into at the last minute. So salute to Chris Lloyd.
Come on.
Every time. So yeah, I don't know where we are at the undercards. Yeah, and like fighters, they have to pay, it's 10% to the trainer, 10% to the manager, the promoter, physio, sparring partners, that sort of thing. So Chris Billam-Smith, salute to Chris Billam-Smith.
Shout out to him, man.
You and Chris Billam-Smith got a little bromance going on,
Big man thing. Shout out to him, bruv. He's a cyborg, bruv. Like the first fight I seen of him was him and Isaac Chamberlain. Shout out to Isaac. I like Isaac a lot, bruv. Like that was my introduction to him, and that was an amazing fight. If you ain't checked that out, go on YouTube, type that in, and you become a fan, bruv. Like honestly, I watched that and I was like, yo, that is dope. Definitely a fan. And it's nice when you meet like a fight you've seen on television or something, and you meet them in real life and they're a really nice person. You get what I'm trying to say? He's like he's proper down to earth, man. It was dope chilling with him. Real talk.
I always say that he's like probably the least fighter that I've ever met. Like in the ring, he's an absolute savage kind of. He's always in really good fights, always really entertaining. And outside the ring, he is the gentleman. He's quite literally, he's one of the nicest people that you could ever wish to come across.
If I do this boxing thing, bruv, I want him to spar with me, bruv. You get me? Not bust me up, bruv, but just show me this 1-2 things. You get me? So shout out to him, man. He's a G.
Absolutely. So yeah, he said, I know we're going all over the place at the minute. It has been a sensational 48 hours in the sport. Myself and the main event are trying to keep up with things as and when they come in.
But yeah, you were saying about the fighters' pay, like basically.
Yeah, Chris Billam-Smith said, and he had a good slant on things where he said that you basically cut it in half. Whatever they get paid, so they get paid 20 grand, 30 grand. I don't know what Ellie Scottney was due to be paid for her fight, which we'll also come on to in a minute. But generally, you cut it in half once you paid your trainer, your manager, promoter, all of the stuff around the camp. But of course, with the fight being off, nobody gets paid, which, if you're on the undercard, that's terrible for you. That's their job. And through no fault of their own, which is really, really disappointing. As I understand it, that was one of the reasons why, the show was called off on Thursday. You get to Friday and you start getting people on the scales. Then as soon as those toes touch the scales and people start making weight, you start having to pay people. So, yeah, really, really unfortunate for the undercard fighters. Ellie Scottney, we had Lyndon Arthur, who never really looks kind of too ruffled by anything, but I'm sure he would have been wanting to get paid. Sorry, James Marshall from Josh Warrington's team. Just give me a call. Salute to James Marshall every time. So yeah, real shame for the undercard fighters, Castillo.
Facts. Like honestly, like I didn't realize how much went into it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like I thought to myself, like you can just come on an undercard, and even if you don't fight, you still get paid. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But that also adds that being a fighter is not like an easy life. These men really dedicate, men and women, they really dedicate themselves to this sport. You get me? They go for a lot. So for something to be called off, it like it's a real big effect to them. Do you get me? So shout out to them. And yeah, man, it's mad.
I mean, it's also worth pointing out that we're not going to get paid either. We put out quite a significant financial outlay. Like Castillo is not. Castillo doesn't come cheap these days. You know, he has to have the bougiest hotel room that we can possibly put him in.
Thai chili crisps, man.
Yeah, but we're not going to mention the brand name. Why?
We're not telling them, bruv, because you man ain't paying us for that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get in touch with Castillo.
You got to pay me for that, bruv.
Castillo_first on all platforms.
Big man ting Thai chili crisps.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, of course. I kind of said it in jest. I mean, DAZN and Matchroom have also, they've ploughed 7 figures, maybe even 8 figures into the promotion of the fight. They're not getting that back.
And that's another thing as well. People are mad happy when promoters and that lose money, bruv. But at the end of the day, it's for our entertainment. You know what I'm trying to say? This is all done for us to enjoy a great show. So when it doesn't happen, it's not good that they're out of pocket for it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I know the Twitter jokes and the jokes and all that stuff is blessed, but at the end of the day, it's for us to enjoy it. You know what I'm trying to say? The whole production. And it's when you see a good production, like you really feel it. Do you know what I mean? You really feel the difference. Like I remember a few months ago, I saw a flyer for like a Don King fight, bruv. I swear down, it looked like some Super Nintendo flyer, bruv. It looked mad.
Is that the Daniel Dubois?
I don't know, bruv. It just looked mad to me.
Do you remember that they did the Daniel Dubois Trevor Bryan video thing, and it was people were saying like, is it deliberately bad so it goes viral for how bad it is? Because it's kind of like one of those. Yeah,
bruv, it looked like somebody made that on Fiverr, bruv. You get me? Some random brother made that from Fiverr, bruv. That was terrible, bruv. That flyer was dead. Real talk, bruv. Whoever made that flyer, cause you're wrong for that, bruv. That's the worst flyer I've seen in my life. Big man ting. What was that, bruv?
Yeah, it wasn't great. You need to come to.
Man must have been on shrooms making that. You're moving mad. Don King paid that guy, bruv, in some chicken wings, bruv.
We're just coming up past 900 live viewers here. Everybody, we've got 900 live viewers and only 26 likes. Castillo, that's not on.
Nah, man, you don't gotta like the ting, man. See, this is what I mean about people, bruv. People, you just come in and watch the ting and go away. That's why my Instagram's private, bruv. You gotta subscribe to my ting, like the ting, bruv. Otherwise, we ain't doing this no more, bruv. We'll lock it off and go home, bruv.
Yeah, so I think we're getting a few likes coming in now. So Castillo, got to keep plugging away with that quite literally.
Come on.
Hit that like button and comment and subscribe to ID Boxing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna cue you to press it, bruv. People move like that. That's gonna stress out the day, like, oh. You're asking for a like, bruv. You're moving mad, cuz.
It is free content. All we do, apart from Nadeem, who's paying us in Australian kangaroo dollars.
Get me, bruv. Like you're probably paying more for you girl on OnlyFans, bruv. You get me? You're probably giving your whole life savings for them things, bruv. Watching a girl finger pop, bruv. Respect yourself. Subscribe, like the ting, bruv.
We're gonna move on. Number 6. Is Chris Eubank's Chris Eubank Jr.'s role in? I've got crisps, Thai sweet crisps
like
on the
crisps, Eubank. Mad.
Chris Eubank Jr.'s role in all of this, Castillo. I quote tweeted one of the ID Boxing posts yesterday where I actually feel like Chris Eubank Jr. has handled himself. Look, I think like in the build up to it, he played the role of the villain, but he played it in a way where everybody kind of liked it and everyone was kind of interested in it, enjoyed it. And then this week, I think he's handled himself exceptionally well under the circumstances.
No, honestly, like I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if what he was promo, like market, it's always a market in there, but I really like what he was doing, like with the 60% stuff and all that stuff. I think it's really dope. And even after all of that, he handled it really well when he put the 61% and all that stuff. Like, and he's been a really good sportsman. I feel like, honestly, like I never looked at either of them as like a villain or like the good or the bad guy, because I think they're both good guys. You get me? But obviously, I think it was definitely Ben was like the good guy, and it was coming across like Chris was like that guy. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like it was nice. Like I'm trying to say, they're both really really good guys, and to see the way Eubank bantered with it without really going ham on Connor, because
Mm.
obviously that they're both in the spotlight. Like he obviously knows the magnitude of how mad it looks, and he was still being really nice about it. You get what I'm trying to say? He was still respectful. So I think he's handled it really, really nicely. And right now, bruv, he just needs to go through, eat bare food, run through some gal, bruv. You get me? Treat yourself, bruv, because boy, that couldn't have been easy.
No, it couldn't have been at all. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. I feel like it's such a shame for a multitude of reasons. And one of the which, so Nadeem has given more. Nadeem, I don't know what you do for a living out in Australia, but you got some suspicious amount of
He's got
expendable
money.
income.
Mad thing, bruv. What are you doing? What are you doing, bruv? You get me? Hope it's not so many Epstein activities, bruv. You get me? Keep it normal out here, bruv. Keep it. Hope you're doing that legally, bruv. Get me?
Anyway, yeah, the build up I thought was fantastic. I felt like the head to head was great. I feel like they played it perfectly, and then all for nothing, Castillo, in the end.
All for nothing, but at the same time, if there's a way that this can be brought back, then it actually might be 20, 30 times more. Because honestly speaking, I always talk about like casual people watching things. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And like I really love boxing, so I'm always up to date with like the big fights. But then sometimes in your mind you overestimate how big a fight really is because you're looking forward to it. But I feel like this has literally made it, everybody knows both these guys' names at this point. And it's definitely, if 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 they do, if it does happen, I think it will be way more interest than it could ever be. It could have been. So I'm a firm believer. Like everything happens for a reason, and this might be it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to the potential rescheduling. Of course, it was postponed and not cancelled shortly. I am, of course, losing where we are. Chris Eubank's role in all of this. Yeah, I mean, we spoke to a few fighters yesterday. Lyndon Arthur being one of them, of course. Chris Billham Swift, Robbie Davies, Ricky Hatton on his
Shout out to Ricky
birthday.
Hatton.
Shout out to Ricky Hatton,
Happy
the
birthday.
hitman. Um, and they all pretty much said, well, to be fair, Ricky said that, if something like this were to happen to him in his career, he would want to fight
Yeah,
because that's just kind of the fighter in them. They've done all the camp, they've done this, they want to get paid, which of course is
of
important.
course, of course.
But Chris Eubank Jr., I always am quite like, oh, really? When like a fighter says, I don't care, he tested positive, I'll fight him anyway.
Of course, because like you said, I think that's just like a fighter's mentality. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like he just wants it to go ahead because, and at the end of the day, with all the training that you've put in and everything that you've done, it just feels like an anti-climax. Like for a fight, I guess where you gonna get that rush? Like you're not gonna get that feeling anywhere. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I could understand why they would be frustrated, but at the same time, I could understand why he would want the fight to go on. And honestly, that's just another testament to how tough he is as a person because, like, obviously we know. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. They come from privileged backgrounds. Their fathers are legendary fighters, but that adds even more to the fighting spirit of them. The fact that they actually he wanted to continue the fight. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That shows that I don't care. I still want to do it. So salute to him, man.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we actually spoke about with Barry Jones and Andy Clark in the preview before the show. Before the show obviously cancelled. That kind of, generally speaking, in boxing, we've gone way off point here, but that's fine. Generally speaking, I would just want to say thanks very much to Pidge, £10 donation. Really appreciate Pidge. Pidge is one of the big supporters of ID Boxing, is always popping up on all of our videos. So thanks very much. But yeah, where was I? I kind of went off on one.
No, you were saying going about Chris Eubank and wanting to fight.
That was it. Yeah. So thank you. Generally speaking, in boxing, it's kind of like a rags to riches story, and it's like fighting to get out of the struggle and stuff like that. But there is a kind of a counter argument to that where it says if you don't actually have to fight, you could go and do anything you wanted. You've got all of the money and you've got the privileged upbringing, but you choose to put yourself in that position and you choose to kind of forego all of the home comforts. And look, I know Eubank is kind of always flashing things around, but he trains like a savage. He always has done. Conor Benn the same. It kind of adds like an extra level of that fighter mentality that you don't have to do it, but you choose to do it.
Bruv, because of course, man, like if I had like a mad, like blacked out Rolls Royce, bruv, you wouldn't even see me doing anything, bruv. My whole day would consist of getting up, driving in my whip, getting gal, and that's it, bruv. That would be my life day in, day out. You get me? So
isn't that what your life's like now?
Bruv, big man thing without the Rolls Royce, bruv. You get me? I'm just on the oyster thing, bruv. You get me? Yeah, so like literally like, bruv, that would be my day. So then to see them doing that is dope because and it's a different story. Like I'm a big fan of like people like Edison Miranda's story, bruv. Like I love Edison Miranda. I'm not sure if a lot of people know about him. He was like a super middleweight, fought Arthur Abraham. You get me? Back in there, I love people like his story, for example, as well, where I heard man was eating rats in Colombia, bruv. Do you know how mad that is? Like, I heard he swam to America, bruv. Do you know how mad that is? Like, people like that, it's a bad man thing, innit? So when you got a fighter that doesn't need to do it, it's a different kind of story. And it's a weird one because on one hand, like, you're rooting for them, but you still want both of them to get bust up at the same time because you're like, yo, you got bare peas, bruv. Even if you lose this, like, your life is blessed anyway. So it adds to more of the drama. Like, you like them and you dislike them, do you know what I'm saying? But you still rate them because they're still putting in the work. It's dope.
Absolutely. So we're just going to try and move on to the next point here, which is number 7. I mean, we're starting to get into it now. Of course, we have covered a lot of this stuff. We're getting a lot of questions in here that are specific to what happened with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. and UCAD and VADA and stuff like that. We did have 3-hour live stream yesterday where we kind of addressed most of those questions. But of course, we will get to them. Just be patient. We are trying to get through things. And I think I'm trying to keep it quite fresh for us as well as everybody watching back there. But the number 7 is Conor Benn's response and future. We obviously saw the statement from Conor Benn as well as Tony Sims, whereby they kind of denied wrongdoing or knowingly taken a performance enhancer in clomiphene, which is what was discovered in the initial adverse analytical finding from VADA. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, look. It's not a surprise that any fighter really. I can't remember if there is any boxers who have come out and do it. I don't know what's the guy in the UFC. What was his name?
John Jones?
No, there was a guy who came out and he failed. He failed a drugs test. And he
Sean
basically
Shirk.
came out and sort of said, "Look, I was cheating. I thought I'd get away. I thought I'd get away with it, and I didn't. And I'm sorry." But it's very rare that you get anybody come out and admit to anything. Of course, Conor Benn is entitled to a full and thorough, extensive hearing whereby he has the opportunity to clear his name. But at the minute, and you know, we discussed this yesterday. I think it is absolutely in the best interest of the sport that the show was not able to go ahead. You can't allow something like that to go ahead with this cloud of uncertainty hanging over it. Whether it would have been good for views and pay-per-view buyers and what have you, it's kind of besides the point. Fighter safety has to come first, and I feel like that, you know, it's the right thing. So even still, it doesn't surprise me at all that Conor Benn, Tony Sims have come out and, you know, they may be, you know, completely honest in what they're saying, and they may be vindicated in the future. That's a process that needs to be undertaken now. And, you know, obviously doing that without, you know, going into a fight first and afterwards, I think is the only sane, logical way of doing things. So I'm glad that sanity and kind of decency really, in my opinion, has prevailed in that instance. But yeah, Ben came out. He's denied knowingly taking a performance enhancer. He is a young man, as you've said,
Yeah, of
at
course.
multiple stages here. He must be going through absolute hell right now.
Yeah, like 100%. Like, obviously, there's the boxing side of it, and then there's like the human side of it. And I'm like a big fan. Like, I'm a big fan of like the human side of it because at the end of the day, he's only 25 years old. We'll find out the truth will be the truth in it whenever it comes out. You get me? But regardless, he's still young. He's still learning and all that stuff. He's doing his best. And like obviously, like we can like the Twitter stuff, the jokes, the Instagram stuff, and like the taking a piss and all that stuff. That's jokes, isn't it? That's banter. But obviously, I do hope the best for him, and I hope that he's okay. Hope he just turns off his phone, bruv. You get me? Like I'll just turn off my phone, take take a 20 minutes spin in my Rolls Royce, bruv, and I'd be like, yo, look at my phone, tell people to suck their mums, bruv. Keep it moving, bruv. You get me? Tomorrow's another day, bruv. You get me? That's how I look at it. So shout out to Conor Benn, bruv. Hope he's doing okay. Don't let the pressure get to you. You get me? Because when you're on top of the world, everybody's rating your life, and then when you get a moment like it's a bit mad, you get me? But he'll bounce back from that, and like tomorrow's another day, bruv. Social media, bruv. We're forgetting 2 days, you get me? But on the other note, aside from that, bruv, you get me? I'm trying to get in shape, bruv. I need to get some cod liver oils, bruv. You get me? Cod liver oils, bruv. Wink, wink, bruv. Big man thing.
Don't look at me. I'm in no way, shape,
Big
or
man thing.
form.
I need the plug for them cod liver oils, bruv. I'm trying to get wedge. I want to be a 6'5" wedge black, brother. You get me? That's what I want to do. You get me? But just don't give me the ones that gives you a receding hairline and a small willy, bruv. You get me? What's the point in that, bruv? Like, get me? It's going to be wedge. You can't even use your things. That's dead. You get me? But shout out to the cod liver oils, bruv. You get me?
We are getting some comments here around clomiphene. Again, we did address this at the weigh-in, the workout. We went live after the workout. We also did multiple times during that 3-hour marathon yesterday, just to give people a little bit of an insight into clomiphene. It is a women's fertility drug. There is no logical reason, no legal reason for it to be in any male's body, let alone an elite athlete who has enrolled in VADA testing. We all know, or for people who maybe don't know, VADA, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency, is considered by many, considered by most, to be the gold standard of drug testing, anti-doping in combat sports. Margaret Goodman, of course, heads up VADA. So yeah, clomiphene is something that you use at the end of a testosterone cycle to re-regulate your testosterone and allow your body to kind of start producing it again in a natural way. It can also be used as something that prevents your body from producing estrogen. Then when the body realizes that, it produces estrogen and testosterone and kind of continue, you get a testosterone boost that way. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big kicker here is what happens next with Conor Benn. I know that's something that we're going to come on to, but it's not something that you can just have in your system. It's not something that any male, let alone a male who is subscribed to VADA testing, should have in their system. We are, of course, waiting for the B sample to be tested. The kind of general line, I had an interview with Eddie Hearn at the workout on Wednesday. Eddie had said that there's been no violation committed as of yet. He's not suspended. True, on a technicality, there's no violation committed yet because there is no violation until the B sample was tested. Now, for people who don't know about the B sample, and I know that you've become an expert at this because you've heard me talk about it so much, the B sample is the same urine split into two different pots. Now, the first sample comes back. A lot of differing information as to when the test was and when it came back. The A sample came back with elements of clomiphene in it. The B sample hasn't been tested yet. They were due to test it afterwards. I did ask Eddie, how long does it take for something like that to happen? Didn't really get much of an answer. So yeah, that's kind of the situation. He hasn't technically had a doping violation because the B sample hasn't been tested yet.
Yeah, man. So like, shout out to the testosterone, the estrogen, and the women's fertility, bro. Shout out to the trans community, bro. LGBT things, you get me, bro. Big man thing.
Okay, let's go. And it's voluntary, so they have to request the B sample is tested. Yes, that is true. I understand that it has been requested. Eddie mentioned in the interview that I did with him, and it's quite common when the request for the B sample to be tested that you have a specialist or somebody from, in this instance, Conor Benn's team present at the opening of the B sample to make sure there's no cross contamination and that everything is done in the proper way. But that hasn't been done yet and hadn't been done to the point where we were yesterday before the fight was called off. So Conor Benn's future, I think it's up in the air. I don't really know where things are going to go. I don't really know.
I think that, to be fair, like this, I don't know. Like, I just look at it like, hopefully his name is cleared, comes back next year, passes all the tests again. You get me, and then he can really rebuild, and people will forget about this because then they'll be like, okay, cool, we see him doing it the right way and all that stuff. He's proven himself, and then people can move on with it. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I think it's fair. What is fair to say is everybody deserves the opportunity to have a full and thorough hearing. There has to be something that's done around this. There has to be something that's changed within UCAD or VADA regulations whereby if you produce a positive A sample, then there has to be a 48-hour window in which the B sample is tested. It cannot be left to people to kind of delay and delay and delay. One of the questions that we've had a few times in here around the live chat is the story being broken in the Daily Mail on the Wednesday, who knew about it and when, and if the story didn't come out, would the fight go ahead? We'll come on to those as and when they are. Gareth A. Davis said that another VADA test, he said allegedly another VADA test in the WBC clean boxing program during the live yesterday. Heard anything more? I've heard the same allegations. Unfortunately, nothing substantiated yet by the WBC in the clean boxing program. Of course, Conor Benn was removed from the WBC clean boxing program in January. He's since re-enrolled in that, but there is nothing official from the WBC on that. So at the minute, it is just speculation. But of course, Gareth mentioned it yesterday on the live stream. It is something that we've heard as well, but so far there is no official confirmation on that. For people who are not aware of what the clean boxing program is, in order to obtain a top 15 ranking with the WBC, the World Boxing Council, you have to enroll in the WBC's clean boxing program, which the tests are carried out by VADA. That again means you have to sign up to what's called a whereabouts policy, where you have to tell people where you are at all times so they can come
So
to
at
your
any
house.
moment they could just bust in your yard.
At any moment, and you have to tell them where you are. So if they come to where you say you are and you're not there, then that is a violation of the
So
whereabouts
how many
policy.
violations can you have?
Fighters have been banned in the past for repeated violations of the whereabouts policy.
So when you say whereabouts,
basically it falls under the same category as a failed test because you're still violating the clean boxing program's policy. So that's we've obviously had Gareth on the live stream yesterday, and we're very aware of those rumours, but so far unsubstantiated with regards to the WBC.
You could be knee deep in your gal, bruv, and they just come through the door, bruv. Let's get them samples, big man.
Yeah, Michael Hunter, and I can't remember who it was. It was at the same time. I think it might have been Jamal Charlo, but I don't want to get sued. Allegedly,
Allegedly, bruv.
I think it was about 18 months ago. There was a whereabouts violation. I don't know if it was Jamal Charlo. So I don't know, but I know Michael Hunter was one of them. So yeah, it comes under the same thing as a failed test. Repeated violations of the whereabouts policy can lead you to receiving a ban. Of course, boxing being boxing, if you're banned from one rankings, as we saw with Jarrell Miller, you can pop up in another ranking.
Shout out to Big Baby Miller, bruv.
Yeah, not on this one. No.
He was on all the things, bruv. You need to give me the plug, bruv. Get me? Trying to get like you, cuz. Get me?
So, right, let's try and move on with this. Okay, so yeah, now we're getting into the meat and bones around Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. The British Boxing Board of Control only banning it or refusing to sanction it after the Daily Mail made the story public. It's a very good question. Now, part of the voluntary anti-doping agency's policy is that they inform both sides of an adverse analytical finding. So in this instance, it would have been Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr.'s camp. It would have been the promoters of the event, so Matchroom Boxing and Wasserman Boxing, and it would have been the sanctioning body, so the British Boxing Board of Control. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, there has been a lot of discussions around when the dates were. I mean, we've heard people say July, some people say August. I know that September is kind of the firm dates that are not being disputed. So when it comes to the British Boxing Board of Control, as soon as there was a violation, the British Boxing Board of Control, Sean Connery, would have been notified by VADA. So yeah, they would have known. There is no doubt about that they would have known. Of course, the story was broken on Wednesday by the Daily Mail. The ensuing storm forced the British Boxing Board of Control's hand to not sanction the bout, and it's also worth pointing out that their reasoning was it's not in the best interests of the sport, bringing the sport into disrepute.
Which I feel is like, which is a good thing, because honestly, like watching a sport as an outsider and looking at something, you want to know that something is fair and above board. Otherwise, it just looks like a joke thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like if I was watching like the Olympics and that, and they're like, yo, all these mans are on things, bruv. I'd be like, yo, what kind of Olympics is this, bruv? What are they racing for? Do you get me? So from an outsider's perspective, you want things to look proper. Do you get me? So I get the British board of them, man, them. You get me, bruv? I feel you, man. You get me?
All right, just going to try and not move on, because I think it's I think this is something that we still kind of need to dive into a little bit. I'm just trying to see it. So I'm going to tell Rob to do a crep check. Let's do the crep check. We've got the Air Forces on. I like these Air Forces. Getting a bit dirty though.
Have I got the Air Max there? I think is that 90s or 95s? Which one? 90s.
Yeah.
90s, bruv. I love these ones, bruv. Like literally, not bigging up your ting too much because you lot ain't paid me, bruv. But I just like the ting. Like
hide the logo if
like
you can.
If someone's on things, bruv, and they're trying it with you, they're powerful enough, bruv, where you could just kick a man in the face. You get me? If you need to get away from people, like they're just the right enough tread that you can sprint. You get me, bruv? It's got the night enough. It's got a little bounce to it so you can jump over things. This is a beautiful shoe, bruv. I love that. I love these Air Maxes, man.
But anyway, we're going to move on because they're not paying. They're not paying. So we're going to move on. Reach out to Castillo or ID Boxing if you're looking to pay. If not, we're not going to talk about your stuff.
Come on.
But anyway, the British Boxing Board of Control would have been made aware by VADA. Of course, we've seen in the past where UCAD have been involved. UCAD's slightly different policy, whereby UCAD will inform the fighter who has tested positive, the promoter of the event, and the sanctioning body. UCAD, which is absolutely insane to me, have no policy whereby they have to inform the other fighter. We saw this, of course, with Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas in July of 2018, and the ensuing scandal that fell from there. So, yeah, it's there's a lot of kind of red tape and a lot of differing things between sanctioning bodies and different drug testing agencies.
From the outside, is all this stuff like it's very. Do you think it's stuff that needs to be done just to make the sport always look at all times like it's above board, or because a lot of people feel like, is all of this necessary? Like it just feels like way too much. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? From a outsider's perspective, or even from a proper boxing perspective, all of this stuff needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to. What needs to be done is there needs to be a universal code whereby people follow it. With a lot of things in
Yeah,
boxing, but specifically drug testing, because you can't have it whereby. I mean, we had it a few weeks ago with Jean Pascal and Joshua Boazzi, whereby Eddie Hearn requested that because Jean Pascal again failed a multitude of drug tests ahead of his rematch with Badu Jack, and he was. Yeah, he was due to fight Joshua Boazzi. Eddie Hearn said that he had to sign up for VADA because VADA is the gold standard of testing. And then he's now saying that the VADA test they don't have to look at that. It's the UCAD test because UCAD and the British Boxing Board of Control, they don't recognise VADA, but they all read from not the same list, but a similar list, which is the WADA list, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency. Clomiphene is on that, which is recognised by the UCAD, UK Anti-Doping. VADA has the WADA list, but also has other things that has other things on there and other substances that isn't banned under the normal WADA. It's kind of an extensive, which is why VADA are looked at as the premier doping control agency in combat sport. So yeah, with regards to the British Boxing Board of Control, yes, they would have known about this when the fighters were informed. That's VADA's policy. So it's not looking good, bruv. Number 9, Matchroom and Wasserman's stance and press conference. So, yeah, what did you make of the statement with Wasserman coming out? Wasserman and Matchroom Boxing, obviously, they were very keen to insist that the fight was postponed. They again reiterated their view that Conor Benn hadn't had his due process, and they fully intended to pursue legal a case against
to
the
be
British Boxing Board of Control.
to be fair, the press conference that's like really the first proper press, it's the first press conference I've been to. Obviously, didn't get the fighters out there, but from the promoter standpoint, like I think they did the best that they could in terms of handling it because at the end of the day, like, what can you do? I thought we'd be able to get some. I'd be able to hear some questions in there, maybe hear some feedback from them or whatever. But at the same time, I understand like they're literally going off the fly, and obviously, you guys saw yesterday on the live that everything was literally happening in real time. Like things were just happening at the same time. You saw Ben leave, you saw people coming in and out, you saw Hearn leave, then come in and out. Like literally everything was happening on the fly. So from being in that kind of environment, I didn't understand. Like there wasn't really much I would imagine that they could even do. Like what could you do? Do you know what I'm trying to say? They were probably panicking themselves, thinking, "What can we do?" And at the same time, I understood that they were really trying to get it to the point where they could just work some way where the fight could still go on because obviously they're promoters and they were thinking about the fans. They don't want the fans to be disappointed. A lot of people
They
have
were
obviously
thinking about the money.
big man thing. Yeah, I don't know about that, but you get me. But I'm just saying,
Thinking
yeah.
about the money.
But I was
And look, and that's not that's not uncommon, and they should be. There's the fighters wanted to fight because the fighters wanted to get paid. Of course, put on a show for the fans, but they want to put on a show because they want to get paid, and that's completely normal. And yeah,
but
just
also like with all the work that they put into the fight as well, I'm sure that they just wanted to go along. And at the same time, a lot of people have paid money for this. A lot of people have booked hotels. A lot of people have probably been traveling down. And now, bruv, you're just in your hotel playing with your willy, bruv. There's nothing to eat. There's nothing to do, bruv. You're just there. You get me eating KFC, bruv.
oh,
Watching Married at First Sight, bruv. There's nothing
you
for you to
love
do,
Married at
bruv.
First Sight, don't
Don't
you?
know. Shout out to that, bruv. Shout out to Keisha, bruv. She's Chris. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot you can do right now. So I feel it for the people I feel sorry for the people that have paid their money to come down and see this. Like, some of you, man, bruv, you took the weekend off from working at Tesco's, bruv. You get me? It's a mad thing. You was working at Boots, bruv. You get me? It's mad. Like this was your one time of relaxation to come watch the fight, and it's you couldn't see nothing, bruv. You get me? Then you got to go back to work on Monday, bruv, and it's just stress, bruv. You get me? A baby mum's chatting shit. It's long, bruv. You get me? Like this is your free time, man. You get me? So I feel for you, man. You get me? Come on,
Some Anarchy Cinema Salam, brother Rob. That's Pishdad Modaresi, who is ID family. Walaikum Salam, brother. Thanks very much for
come on,
joining
brother.
us here on the ID Boxing Live show. But yeah, we are trying to rumble on here. We've got one more talking point, I believe. Just my two penneth on the Matchroom Boxing and and Wasserman Boxing statement. Alex Steedman, who's, everybody knows Alex Steedman, one of the top guys. He came on with us twice, Alex Steedman, yesterday, and he said, and
Shout out to him.
I think it really rang true, that it's a shame. You don't want to see boxing at war with itself.
Of course.
Like, you don't want to see somebody suing the board or attempting legal action at the board, because I believe, and 99% of people who we spoke to yesterday, I think there was only one person who advocated for the fight to go ahead. Fighters, managers, trainers, journalists all said that, look, Conor Benn does have a right to clear his name, but while this is hanging over him, the fact that he could go into the ring on the back of an adverse analytical finding and potentially do serious harm to Chris Eubank Jr., it's very uneasy, and you would want people to understand that sometimes it's not just about money. I know Eddie and Calla, after the fight was officially called off, we sat there, we saw the statement, and it was put to us that it was for the best interest of the British boxing public, and it was in the best interest of the sport, and that's why the fight didn't go on. Of course, the other side to that was the day before. There was, in the interview that I did with Eddie, he was talking about injunctions and potentially going to different governing bodies, Luxembourg, Malta, Romania with Andrew Tate. So it's
Yeah, it was all kind of confusing. I'll be real. Like boxing's a weird sport. Like, in a sense where, I'll be honest with you, I feel like it's kind of like, from a fan perspective, it's very disappointing, because most of the time that you're really hearing about boxing, especially on the timelines, is really just fights not happening, things not happening, things falling through. Like, obviously everybody's looking forward to Fury and Joshua. We're not getting that. Like, then this, like, so it just feels like a bit of a circus. Sometimes a lot of people say, like, the YouTube stuff, it looks like a circus. So I guess this doesn't really help. It just adds to.
I mean,
It just looks like a bunch of madness. I'll be honest with you. So, like, at the end of the day, like, the fans suffer a lot, and then it just doesn't look good for the sport. So it's just been a mad time, bruv.
I'll tell you what, people can say, well, I'm not a big YouTube boxing guy. It's not really my thing. People who kind of know myself and my work over the years will understand that. But the next time we talk about YouTube boxing being a circus and a clown show and stuff like that, take a look at what's happened in British boxing over the last 48 hours. We need to clean shit up on the normal side of boxing, I think, before we start casting aspersions elsewhere and starting to point the finger at YouTube boxing, which is just a kind of a load of influencers going in there, throwing some windmills and spinning like teacups.
Man, thing, I need to do that, bruv. There's bare money in that, bruv. You get me? So, bruv, shout me, bruv, but only if you got the bag, bruv, because you're not paying me in ackee and saltfish dumplings, bruv. Stop it.
Okay, where are we at now with our list of 10 things to talk about? We will be opening it up to you guys for live chats for anything that we may have forgotten, but I am on. We're almost there. What happens next? So what happens next in your opinion, Castillo?
What happens? I don't know. For me, hopefully this fight can be rescheduled. Hopefully the promoters saying now it's going to be postponed. Hopefully that's true, so we do get to see this at some point, because it would be a shame if we didn't get this. And, like, I heard a lot from the boxing insiders that this fight was really difficult to get made in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully it does get made. And I almost feel like it's impossible it doesn't get made, because then I feel like, money wise, there's no, like, the build up for this is mad. Usually, a lot of it, for a casual fan, a lot of attention is on the heavyweight division. Like, a lot of people usually focus on the heavyweights and what's happening there. But for this, I feel like, if you, I know they say, like this is a lot of bad publicity, and sometimes, like, they say all publicity is good publicity. But in this case, if you didn't know about these guys, then you definitely know now. And if you didn't have really any interest in seeing this, I feel like a lot of this was built up on, obviously, who their fathers were, and who like, how symbolic and how legendary their fathers were. But I feel like now you know who they are, and now I feel like there could actually be some sort of genuine tension between them now, whereas it's not so much about their fathers, it's now about them. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I think, going forward, I would hope that this fight gets made. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I feel like it would be really a disservice if we didn't see it. Do you know what I mean? I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It took a while to get made, and I don't know whether or not this is going to turn the public off, and whether there's too much outcry. I think there's a good chance that the fight happens, but I think between now and then there's going to be a lot of things that need to be sorted out, particularly on the Conor Benn side. With, he'll be hoping that he can go and clear his name, and he claims that he is a clean fighter. It's now on him, and the process and the procedure with VADA to go and clear his name and prove himself innocent in his instance. Somebody's just mentioned, Rob, we can see me reading the comments. Please comment on Dr. Usman. We'll get there. I have said repeatedly, we've got 10 topics that we're going to discuss, and then we will go on to questions from the floor, so to speak. I kind of got lost. Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to say about the Matchroom and Wasserman statement is, they were very on the front foot, but that's what they're going to be like. Whether or not they do pursue litigation and try and sue the British Boxing Board of Control, who knows? I guess that's one of the other things that we're going to need to see in the future. Does Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. happen in a different country? Does it happen in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, which is something that Ron Lewis, shout out Ron Lewis, he was on our live stream yesterday, he mentioned as a potential possibility. But yeah, I think a lot of things have to be sorted out. Of course, Conor Benn needs to go back into a drug testing program and complete that without any violations or without any adverse analytical findings before anything happens again. Whether or not we see the fight at 157 pounds with a rehydration clause, you'd think that Chris Eubank Jr. is probably going to go, we'll do it at 160 now with no rehydration. You've had your chance.
I think it's only right. I feel like obviously the ball was it wasn't really in his court as much, but I feel like now it definitely is. Do you know what I mean? I feel like now he can kind of call a bit of the shots now. And to be fair, I don't think it would be much of a demand if that's what he asked for. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I think it would be fair enough for him to do that. It's only right, bruv.
Rob, why you say with and with, which one is it, mate? I've had 2 hours sleep. Fuck off. anyway, I mean, again, like just kind of reading into some of the comments that we've got here with regards to Conor Benn. I mean, we've kind of gone through what the adverse analytical finding was caused by clomiphene, and we've given both sides of the argument and both sides of the story, or certainly what we've seen from Conor Benn publicly with his reaction to the fight being called off. So I hope you guys can understand that we've given what we know about clomiphene and its uses, and that fact that it should never be in the system of any man, let alone somebody who is enrolled in VADA testing. So and again, the absolute right thing that the fight has been called off.
100%.
So okay, so Jay, big question here. So Jay, have Hearn and Bellew paid you yet? So people who will follow me on Twitter, and if you don't follow me at Rob Tebbutt on Twitter, so Eddie bet me £50 on the Tuesday of Usyk Joshua 2 fight week in Saudi Arabia that Alexander Usyk would be heavier than £230. He was 221, I think. So Eddie still hasn't paid me that 50 quid. I even asked him in an interview and he said, send me the link and I'll send it over. To be fair though, I don't really know because he's not paying it to me. It's for charity, for Adam Brooks Charitable Trust. Anybody who's watching want to donate some money to Adam Brooks Charitable Trust, I'd be very appreciative of that. So I don't know if Eddie has, to be honest with you. Tony Bellew has. He paid me the money, and then I paid the money over to Adam Brooks Charitable Trust. So the big questions. Okay, right. So we're gonna open it up to the floor now. We've got lots and lots of you in here. 1.3k.
Shout out to you guys.
Nadeem again. $30. Thanks very much. So sent me some stuff. So sent me some. Rob turned roadman now. I am who I am. Anyway. Okay. What we got from you? WhatsApp. Okay. Have you? All right. Yeah. Hang on. Sorry, we're just going to get through it here. I know we've got them here, but there's been a lot of questions. So, Ben Faruqi. Oh, so then Twitter. Okay, we're going to take them from the YouTube chat afterwards, but we'll go through here. This is... I mean, we kind of discussed this already from Pidge. This has got me thinking of Boatsy versus Pascal. Was that due to take place in the UK? Yes, it was. It was due to be on a Frank Warren card. If so, why were Matchroom so hellbent on having VADA in the contract? If to them the fight can still go ahead even with a positive VADA test because UCAD are okay, why make such a big deal of including VADA? I love you, Pidge, but that's a long-winded version of saying why ask for VADA test if you're going to ignore VADA findings. And it's a very good question. It's something that Eddie Hearn's been asked a couple of times. He got asked by Press Association or AP yesterday, and there's no real answer for it. And it kind of goes back to the White Rivas situation in July of 2018, whereby that was a UCAD test, And the kind of rallying cry was, well, he passed all of the VADA tests. VADA is the gold standard of boxing, anti-doping. And now for this, it's, he passed all of the UCAD tests, and UCAD don't recognise VADA, or the British Boxing Board of Control don't recognise VADA. So, yeah, it's kind of depending on what point you're trying to make. And again, this is what we were talking about earlier with having it as a having one rule for all when it comes to drug testing. If you fail for this, no matter what testing agency it's under, then you fail. That should be the way it is. And I feel like we've kind of taken a little step towards that with the situation with Eubank Jr. and Benn, again, pending the full investigation. But at the minute, the fight being off, obviously in the best interests of the sport. So we've got another one from Twitter, and then we will go down to the live chat here. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. So Ozzy Smith says Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing could learn a lot from Jake Paul and MVP Promotions. Paul ensured all undercard fighters were paid 50% of their purses when the Ruckman Jr. fight was cancelled. Hearn should, without a doubt, do the same as a bare minimum. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's dope that he does that, though. That's quite.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, but yeah, I mean, obviously, different promoters are going to have different views on it. Yeah, I mean, that's a question for Eddie. It would be great. It would be great if they could all get paid 100%, 50%, 100%. But yeah, it is great that Jake Paul did that. But yeah, I mean, that's a question for Eddie. So we're going to open the floor now to the live ones on the floor. Okay. If you've got any questions for myself, obviously address them to me. And if you've got any for the main event for Castillo,
a lot of people are saying about Dr. Usman.
Dr. Usman, yes. So Dr. Usman, I think it's Usman Javid, British Boxing Board of Control licensed doctor, has since, so he's kind of worked for Alphagenics, a testosterone replacement therapy company. Of course, the substance that was found, clomiphene, in Conor Benn's adverse. I can't wait for the fight week to be over, so I have to stop saying adverse analytical finding. But shout out to the lawyers. Yeah, that is something to boost and age your testosterone. So the fact that Dr. Usman Javid, had a TRT company, testosterone replacement therapy company, working with Conor Benn, who then failed or had an adverse analytical finding for something that boosts your testosterone, isn't a good look. Of course, we've seen people come out in recent times and say that Dr. Usman was involved in the camp after the failed test or before the failed test, but I mean, it's not a good look either way. Usman Javid has since deleted his website.
He's deleted his website.
Which listed the fighters in which he worked
ghosting, bruv. Man's in Streatham right now, bruv. Mad ting. Where's he at, bruv?
And it's also deleted his Instagram. So yeah, I mean, I know, is there any kind of
he deleted his Instagram as well?
Deleted his Instagram, deleted his website.
Man's moving like a catfish, bro. He's
do we have any specific questions on it? Because I mean, I only got the kind of the generic "What about Dr. Usman" from you. I've only got 5% battery on my phone. Has anybody got anything I can plug in? So if anybody has any specific questions on that, Dr. Usman has left the building. Are you Castillo going to Marshall Shields fight next weekend? We need you and Castillo at every boxing event together. It's looking good, bruv. You got a lot on.
I might be going through to that still, bruv. So that might happen still. We're just trying to move a few things around. You get me?
Yeah. So we're gonna try. We'll try and get you there. But yeah, I mean, I think people like our content.
They like the dynamic, bruv.
Like the dynamic. So that would be great. It would be great to have you there next week, but we'll have to wait and see. Rob, why are Ben's previous opponents acting like he was on heads during the fight with them? I don't know, mate, to be fair. So it's a question for them. I watched Chris Algieri's interview with Dan Canobio from CompuBox. Chris Algieri speaks very well on the sport. He's also, as well as a fighter, former world champion at 140 pounds. He is also sort of an S&C, isn't he? He's like a chef. He's got diet books and things like that. So he's very well clued up. He came out and said that he had heard around Conor Benn before, but he gave him the benefit of the doubt because he likes to, shows respect to his opponents. But I mean, that's a question for him, which was put to him by Dan Canobio. So go and check that out for sure. CompuBox and Dan Canobio doing some really good interviews over there. Castillo and Rob combo better than Barker and Lloyd. Now shout out Barker and Lloyd every time. We like them. We're big fans. Do you okay? So one for you from Banging Boxing. Do you still want to see the fight happen in the future, or has the hype died down for you? Because still, I know your answers to this and give it to the people.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I definitely want to see it again because, honestly speaking, at first, I'll be real. When it was kind of being built on their fathers and like their rivalry of their fathers, I wasn't really all the way sold with that because I'm just like, what? Like, it just didn't really make sense to me because I was thinking their fathers like Eubank story. Like, it's like he come from the so, like, speaking, but their rivalry was so in. So this one, I didn't really feel it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't feel like whoever won like would answer the questions for their dad. Like, I was thinking, what? Like, nah, bruv. Like, do you know what I mean? I feel that, but now, honestly speaking, I'm kind of more invested because now I feel like it's really now their story. Before it was their father's story. Now I feel like this is their story. You know what I mean? And who like now I'm excited for this fight. 100% more excited for this fight.
Are we having any buffering problems here? We're good. I think we're having some of it, so you're breaking up. But yeah, we're trying to get on with it. We've just got a super chat in here from Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar.
Shout out to you, Kendrick, bruv.
Maybe a collab. Get on the. When's the next tune out?
Next tune, bruv. 2 weeks, bruv, is coming out soon. Look out for that, bruv. We're dropping a music video, so you'll see that real soon.
Yeah, so maybe you and Kendrick. But anyway, if Chris Eubank was the one who tested positive, Eddie and Matchroom would be acting different, and the UK media need to start challenging him on that. I think it's a fair question to put to Eddie Hearn. Of course, yesterday at the press conference, when he gave his statement, there was no questions from the media. He gave his statement. He soon left afterwards. I'm sure when Eddie is back doing interviews again, there will be questions leveled at him. But yes, it's a good point and something to and start to tap. Rob, are you using Castillo to tap into linking his hood jerseys?
The Hudgers, maybe, bruv. You never know, bruv. But allow it, bruv. You get me. Snipe out now on all digital platforms. Get me. Rob lives the clean life, bruv. You get me. Don't try and put his name in a mud, bruv.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise,
Get
you'd be hearing from my lawyers, man.
Big man thing.
But anyway, right.
Shout out to Lionel Hutz, bruv.
Yeah, we were talking about him earlier. Get Lionel Hutz in here.
Big man thing.
Yeah, man. Okay, what we got here? ID boxing. So Life and Death says Ben's progress from his debut is night and day. Does this make you look at that progress differently? Go to you first. I'll take it.
Do you know what? It's hard to say, bruv, because it's almost like going, but you're now having to go back into history, and that's not something that we can do. Do you know what I'm trying to say? If something happened then you judge him by that, but nothing happened then. He wasn't. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's a bit like. It's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit of a hard one to say. Like, then you're just going to have to judge man for all the previous things. But then you'd be doing that for a lot of man that box. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but it is a fair comment. And I mean, we had the question earlier where Chris Algieri was talking about it. Chris Van Heerden was another guy who boxed Conor Benn recently, and he's come out and cast aspersions over his own fight. So inevitably, people are going to ask questions. People are going to ask questions about Conor Benn's progress. He is, considered by many to be one of, if not the most improved boxers in British boxing. And people are going to have questions around that because of this, and that's inevitable. I have a question. Who are you two? You're on my live stream, bro. If you don't like it, like, comment, drop a little subscribe, and get the fuck out. But anyway,
suck your mum, bro. Respectfully, bro.
Right, going to try and get down through this. Eubank Senior was the one who leaked the story to the press. What do you know about this story? Well, I don't know anything about that story, so I don't know whether it was Eubank Senior. Shout out to Eubank Senior.
Shout out to Eubank Senior.
English, as everybody knows him as. He is a one-off. He's a one of a kind. Always a pleasure to catch up with him. Was very
one of the greatest.
One of the greatest, certainly in British boxing, and I was looking forward to hopefully catching up with him at some point this week. All of the madness happened a couple of days ago. The adverse finding, but I don't know whether or not it was him who leaked to the press. Okay, we're trying to get through him. Nadeem 7, and again, thanks very much, Nadeem. James Hickson says, "I order pizza." Yeah, always order pizza. You get one of them big ones.
Yeah, bro. Watch your calories, bro. You get me?
Yeah,
it's got a lot of cheese and all that in it, bro. You might get Man boobs and estrogen and all them things in this long.
Okay, we're going to try and get through here. Please don't dodge the question. Eubank Senior was one who leaked to the press. What do you know about it? So we just answered it. I'm probably a little bit far behind.
See questions on there.
Mr. Rob, what do you think caused Wood to back out of the fight with Mauricio? Do you think he saw the fight with Mauricio and Josh, and once he saw Mauricio did to Josh and he backed out? No, because I don't think he would have took the fight in the first place. So yeah, Lee Wood agreed to fight Mauricio Lara after Josh Warrington had already boxed him twice. I don't really know why that fight. I mean, there was a bicep injury, I believe, was kind of what was said about it. Whether we see that fight again, I'm not too sure. I was quite surprised about it, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. It will have seems a bit convenient that he wanted people to boycott the fight, and not even a day later this gets leaked to the press. I mean, Eubank Senior has been talking for the last couple of weeks. I mean, I have no doubt that he would have known, or well, I say no doubt. There is that's kind of my own opinion that he would have found out. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., the promoters, the British Boxing Board of Control will have all been notified with the VADA test. So it could have been him, but I don't know that it was, and I'm not sure. But yeah, it's up in the air. Nobody knows until somebody comes out. I don't know who leaked it to the Daily Mail. I wasn't sure about your partnership at first, but now it seems natural and hilarious.
Don't know, bruv. Come on. Proper things, bruv.
I don't know why. Why do you think it is that people don't think that we should be mates or work together?
I don't know, bruv. Maybe they like live in Stoke-on-Trent, bruv. I don't know, bruv. It's like two black brothers there, bruv. You ain't chatting to them. Who knows, bruv?
Elsie, please can I have a signed picture, Rob? No. You can't. No, you can't. Do you think this fight will impact on another fight happening between Ben and Eubank? I don't really know. I get what you've said. Obviously, we've covered this quite a few times. I get what you said about, it makes it bigger and it's this and it's that. But also, I don't know. I think they had a really good shot at it here.
100%.
And they had a really good build up, and now it's going to leave that bad taste. It wouldn't surprise me if Conor then just returns to 147 pounds after all of this.
I think he should just come back. I think he should still pursue the 160 thing. Bro. You get me? Just prove the naysayers wrong, bruv. If you want to come back with a belly, bruv, and be like, yo, man's been out just eating jollof rice, bruv. And what? I got a belly and tits now, bruv. What are you trying to say, bruv? You get me? I'm all normal, bruv. All natural, everything, bruv. You get me? Stick to it, bruv. Come out looking like James Toney, bruv.
There'll be no James Toney slander, my favourite
Big
fighter.
man thing, you get me? Just come back, just prove them wrong, bruv. You get me?
James Toney also had his issues with doping, but well, yeah, we will kind of move past that. Shout out to James Toney.
Shout out to James Toney, bruv.
Jay, nice skin fade, Rob. Thanks very much. I had this done on Sunday ahead of Monday's pod. When did we? No, Monday. We were filming with some people, which you guys will see soon. On the Monday, Nadeem, great stream, gents. Keep flying through the market. Thanks very much, Nadeem. Nadeem's paid for like your last 3 days in the hotel.
Shout out to you, bruv.
And it's all very, very much welcomed as well, because we've done our bollocks on covering this now, but it's all good. Eden Fruits, do you think Eddie and Matchroom will try to stop the results of the B sample? I would like to think that doesn't happen. No, and if you want to go through a process to clear your name, then unfortunately you have to go through that. Jackie Boy Johnson is the question underneath there. Mr. Tebbutt, who is the person you were most starstruck by meeting? I wouldn't have known the answer to this until about a couple of weeks ago, and we fucking met Usain Bolt in Manchester after Joyce Parker. He was doing the hacker with Manu Tuilagi or somebody from like one of his. Manu Tuilagi was there. I don't think it was him who was doing the hacker with Usain Bolt. We were down in the hotel lobby, and we were uploading it was editing and uploading like 4 a.m. and then we hear this like commotion behind us, and it's Usain Bolt. Really cool guy. He is like super recognizable, like one of the most famous people on the planet. I actually said to him the next day, I saw him again in the lobby. Me and Usain like big friends now. Me and Usain, so I said to him the next day, I was like, I got to ask you, what's it like being one of the most recognizable faces on the planet? And he went, you know what? It's pretty good, and which I thought was very cool of him. So I'd say Usain Bolt. What about you, Castillo? Has anybody you ever met you starstruck? Could have been Eddie.
Big man thing. So I've never really starstruck by anybody, bruv, to be fair, but it has to be Eddie Hearn, like 100%. Like, do you know what it is? Because there's like a lot of people that you meet, but like literally, he's a serious dude. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, he's a proper guy. Like, there's not a lot of people that I've ever wanted to meet, but in terms of boxing world, it was definitely Eddie Hearn, bruv. So I was definitely starstruck, me and Eddie Hearn. But now it's weird, like, now that I've come to the press conference and seeing like some boxers and all that stuff and seeing all of them, it's almost like I wouldn't say it's starstruck that I have when I see a lot of boxers now. It's more respect, meaning, for example, like when you see them in the ring and you see them putting everything into it, even when they lose, even down to like when you see journeymen, like you just see them get bust up. Like, that's like I was at you call the other day, bruv.
Yeah,
Like I see,
we went to the York Hall
bruv.
show.
I don't know where the brother was from, bruv, but man,
Oh,
some
the Frank Arnold fight.
bruv, like literally some Nicaraguan brother came, like he just come off the plane, walked in the ring, knocked a man out, bruv. I don't think we'll see the brother again, but like literally, like it,
Is he fighting Reese Mold tomorrow?
big
Oh,
that like I don't know who that brother is, yeah, but salute to him. Like I don't know how much he got paid for that, bruv. He could have gotten paid in some air forces, bruv. I don't know, but he just came there, did business, and bounced. But when you see people like that, and then you start seeing like the actual legends of the game and people that are solidified in boxing, like it's not starstruck for me. It's more respect and seeing like the different side to them and seeing that these people are like human. And in a weird way, like it's like, for example, like meeting I've met Lyndon Arthur before, but even seeing him, like he must have been doing one of his runs the other day. Like he was said, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go for a run and all that." And then seeing him in person and then seeing his face, you could tell like he's deep in training. Like when you see them in the ring, like you can see the gladiators and you see the warriors. But then when you see them outside of that and you just see them in a normal set, and you're just like, "Rah, man!" Like literally, you're probably like tired, you're probably exhausted right now, and you in about 2 days you're about to go to war. Like I'm just saying, it just humanizes them a lot more, and then you just have a lot more respect. That's why even when I see a man go in the ring and get bust up in 2 seconds, bruv, like respect to him. You get me? Because
he got in there.
he got in there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like a lot of men, you're watching at home. You get me? Like you just like you never step in the ring, bruv. You get me? You don't know how hard it is. You're at home doing chair aerobics, bruv. You get me? With the remote, bruv. Like, you get me? Like it's a different thing. So a lot of respect. But yeah, starstruck is definitely Eddie Hunt.
The things that I wanted to ask you were kind of staying within that. Most boxers over like the overwhelming majority in the time that I've covered the sport, which is probably about 7 years or so, 6, 7 years. Some of the most down to earth, normal, nicest people that you could meet, and then as you say, they go through the ropes and they turn into
Of
absolute
course.
savages. Chris Billings Smith, we spoke about earlier, is a prime example of that.
And even then, even still, like even if I met one and there was a bit of a dickhead, I wouldn't even really hold it against them because like you're training to go to war. Like do you know what I'm just saying, you're training to fight. Like you have to have a different mentality. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like some of you, man, the only fights you've had is against nitties around your estate, bruv. You're out here fighting crackheads that weigh 20 pounds, bruv. You get me? Like that's who you lot are fighting. So it's a different thing. So like meeting them in the flesh, yeah, even if some might be a bit dismissive or some is rude, which I've never really met, but even still I wouldn't hold it against them because you're going to war. It's a different thing. Somebody's trying to take your head off in there. Do you know what I'm just saying? It's easy when you're sitting at home and you're seeing people like even getting hit with a jab, bruv. It's a mad thing. Like imagine somebody jab you in the face, you're like, bruv, are you mad? I'm gonna go to your yard and smack your mum, bruv. You an idiot, bruv. Try to violate me and jab you in the mouth, bruv. Idiot thing. Do you know what I mean? So honestly speaking, like there's a lot of respect for them. You get me?
It reminds me of a really, really one of the funniest things I've heard, and one of the fastest things I've heard in recent times. I'm friends with Adam and Sami Hamed, who are, of course, sons of the great Prince Nassim Hamed. I won't name the name of the famous Birmingham-based rapper who was the other side of this conversation. But he'd said, "Oh, your dad got beat by Marco Antonio Barrera," and they were kind of bantering between each other. And he said, "Bro, my dad got beat by Marco Antonio Barrera. Your dad probably lost straighteners in a car park,"
It's a fact.
which is
It's a fact.
it's one of the best things
I'm telling
that
you.
I've heard in the last few months. So that was very, very good. Unfortunately for that Birmingham-based grime artist called JK, it wasn't good for him, bro. But anyway, let's try and get these installers down here.
Yeah, bare buffering.
Stream failed a drugs test. It's a Putin interference thing. Back up. No, I don't just Jordan just put in there. Sorry for the Bruce buffering. Yeah, good man. Stream's gone. Are we back? Are we back?
I can't see it.
What's happening? Back on. Time is
Yeah,
everything.
we're
So
back
we're
on,
back
back
on. Somebody says still deaded. Like those test results. Hotel Wi-Fi. It is literally hotel. We're in Castillo's hotel room.
Get me.
There's a thing asleep in the bed. We have to try it, or she's gonna wake up.
They're leaving the stream, Rev.
Oh yeah, they're leaving us. Yeah. We're losing energy. I think are we back up?
We're back up.
Use data. No, are we back up? Yeah. Slowly back up. Yeah. Sorry guys, we are going on free hotel one. This isn't one of the. Is this the one we paid for the £7 a day one? I'm only on 2 bar. Yeah. Let's try and keep going. Everybody, please stay with us. If you can hear us, can you hear? We're still here. Hear you off and on. Okay, Toby. Thanks for that. It says on our side that we're on. Reboot. Yeah, I don't know. You can hear us. Timing is everything. Thanks very much. Rob stream.
It looks like it's kind of making mad.
This is starting to get weird. Move. What a fucking live stream. 2 blokes. You're still here watching it, mate.
Mad thing. Shit, so it's just lagging.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
It's just lagging.
Is this good? Okay, I think it looks like we might be back up here because I've got you moving around. Right? Can we? Can you hear us? Can you see us? Are we back? Love the creative content, Rob. Great standing out from the other boring stuff here. Thanks very much. Sniper out on all platforms.
Come on.
You two just need to go get a burger and call it a day. That sounds like a good idea. Looks like we're back in the house. Better now. True Mexico. Thanks very much. Okay, I think we're back up. We're back up. All good. All good now. Let's go. Right, we're back at it. Right, I think we're probably how long going for? An hour and a half.
Yeah, we got to cut this.
We'll do 5 more minutes.
Come on.
Then we'll get out. So if anybody's got anything back for 5 minutes, everybody hit the like button. We've lost viewers here. So hammer that live. Hammer the like button and get people back in here. The algorithm will push it back out. We're gonna stay for another 5 minutes. Gonna have to be a 1-star review on TripAdvisor every time.
That's true.
Right, Castillo, what have you got coming up next?
In 2 weeks, I got a tune dropping real soon, so I'm gonna be pushing it out real soon. So follow my social Castillo_first. Might start a Twitch as well, but yeah, forget that. But what I'm gonna be doing, new tune coming soon. So make sure you lock in. Get me, like my man of many talents, bruv. You see me, bruv. But yeah, got that coming soon. So make sure you look for that.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. We just photos as well.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy. Shout out to Jimmy, bruv. You get me. Nice me up, man. The G for that.
Very much so. Right, we've got 5 minutes. Does anybody have Rob? Do you think Senior leaked the story to the Daily Mail? I've already said I'm not sure, mate. To be honest with you, I don't know. I would have as serious as that, and I genuinely don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. Probably, depending on what my lawyer told me to say. Honestly, this is now my go-to channel. Loving the lives. Keep it up. It's like an
know.
alternative talk sport. Yeah, thank you very much, Rick's Remakes. Okay, do we have any more? What next for Eubank Jr.? That's a good question.
That's actually a good question.
I think, there's a lot of the talk is around what happens next with Conor Benn. I think Eubank Jr., look, if this fight can't be made again, I know it's postponed. If it can't be put back on, I think he's going to want to box for a world title, whether that's against Alim Hanouli, who's, of course, boxing Denzel Bentley, or he tries to get the Gennady Golovkin fight, which, of course, has been talked about for a long time. So I think maybe that for Chris Eubank Jr.
That would be a good one.
Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. Does Chris go back down to 157 pounds a day? What would you, if you were Chris Eubank Jr., Castillo, and the fight was put up again to you, and it said, look, you have to make 157, what would you say?
Do you know what? Depends. I feel like it's hard to say because I'm just going to try and put myself in his shoes. I feel like, although he was putting up all the Instagram stuff, the social media stuff about him going out to eat and all that stuff, I know for a fact he must have had a tough time making weight. Even when we saw that interview of him and he just looked kind of like, he just looked tired, you know what I'm trying to say? So I know that must have been really hard for him, especially when he hasn't made that weight in a long time. So to go through that again, I'm not sure if I'm him. I want to go through that again. Like, I feel like I did everything right. Let's say, we know what I'm saying. In his mind, he's just thinking on a black and white thing. We just put it like that. Wrong. Everything I had to do, I showed up. I came. It's not my fault, bruv. You get what I'm trying to say? So why should I have to go through this again? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if I was him, I might not want to go back 157. I would rather do it at 160.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair enough. I think, Conor, again, we're waiting. You have to caveat everything because it is, it is fair and it is balanced reporting to kind of mention the fact that we have to wait for the full investigation before we see whether or not this fight even is possible to happen again, and what happens with Conor Benn in the future. But you would think that Chris Eubank Jr. says, look, we had the chance to do it at 157 pounds rehydration. It's now my way or the highway. But of course, as we know, with things like this, it comes down to money. Would the British Boxing Board of Control sanction this again? Is a good question. I think if it was Chris Jones versus Conor Smith, I don't think the fight would have been sanctioned in the first place. So yeah, I don't know. My gut feeling is that we missed the boat here. I don't think it's going to happen again. That's my gut feeling.
I'd be very disappointed if it happen again, but I would understand because it was a hard fight to get made. So, and from Eubank's side as well, he had to sacrifice a lot. Like, obviously, before this happened, a lot of people were talking about what he had to give up, what he's had to do, and it's not easy making weight. So, boy, hopefully it does. You get me? Hopefully, give it that. But if it doesn't,
okay, right. About all we've time for here. We've been going for slightly over an hour and a half. You two talking about boxing. What a laugh. Wake up, people. Like, comment, and subscribe, and get up out of here. Thanks very much for stopping by on the ID Boxing Aftermath live stream. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, unfortunately, is not happening anymore. As we know, the fight has been postponed. I'm going to leave the last word with the main event.
Big man
Castillo.
Got a new tune coming out in 2 weeks. You get me? So make sure you stream that. And even though you guys are disappointed now the fight's not happening this weekend, next week you got Clarissa Shields, bruv. Get me? It's going to be a big fight.
Absolutely. And then after that, you've got Castillo's new tune to look forward to as well. So it's all looking up for everybody. You don't have Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, but we're still waiting on the name of the track, aren't we?
Get me? You got the name. I'm dropping the name soon. I don't want YouTube to demonetize it when it comes out. So you'll get that real soon. Just look on my page, stay locked, Castillo_1ST, bruv. Follow that.
And until then, you can enjoy Pressure and Pain or Sniper or
all digital platforms,
all
bruv.
digital platforms,
Come on.
bruv. Thanks very much for stopping by on the ID Boxing live stream.